The shield workstation exists so that a mathematical verdict can stand as a sealed result, and any later interpretation stays under that result. When a local model is asked to write the pastoral or explanatory prose, it is not being asked to redecide the direction. It is being asked to speak under a direction that has already been computed. That boundary has been tested. There have been cases where the deterministic verdict was lean yes or yes, and a model still returned a clear no or argued the opposite direction while keeping a compliant-looking closing line. Prompt language alone is not enough. Models can still invert, rationalize around a conflict, or treat a cautionary lead verse as permission to flip the overall result. Written instructions are soft. The system needed teeth. Release 17.1 4.34 puts the first hard gate on the offline stage 1 path. After the model generates a draft, the existing correction gates still run. There is still one corrective pass when issues are found. Soft defects such as missing verse citations or foreign theological vocabulary still take the correct once then deliver path, so ordinary imperfections do not dead-end the workflow. What changed is the treatment of true directional inversion. Directional inversion means a mathematical yes or lean yes answered as no or lean no, or the reverse. That is not the same as a milder mismatch, such as lean yes against neutral. After the corrective pass, if the model's closing direct answer line still inverts the mathematical verdict, delivery is aborted. The text remains in the preview so you can see what the model attempted. It is not written into the YouTube pipeline Stage 1 box, and it is not pushed into the AI Hub interpretation box. The status turns red. The provenance record stores the abort reason, the expected verdict, the token the model actually produced, and a delivered flag set to false. The model can still attempt an inversion. The system simply refuses to accept it as an interpretation that leaves the workstation. Release 17.14.35 extends the same discipline across the rest of the offline surface, so an inverted draft cannot travel downstream. Stage 2 is the scriptwriter. It turns an accepted Stage 1 interpretation into spoken script language. If Stage 1 aborted for directional inversion, Stage 2 was blocked from transforming a quarantined draft. Stage 2 also checks its own output. If the generated script's direct answer line inverts the mathematical verdict, that script is not written into the script box. The offline second opinion path was already fail-closed to the deterministic canonical text. It now names directional inversion explicitly when that is the failure mode. Across these surfaces, inversion attempts are pushed into an operator log so you can see surface, expected direction, produced token, model, and time. Release 17.1 4.36 is the repair pack that made those gates hold under real operator use. Two defects in the 17.1 4.35 form had to be fixed. First, the Stage 2 refusal keyed only on the last Stage 1 abort flag. An aborted run never writes into the Stage 1 interpretation box, and the abort message itself tells you to write the interpretation by hand. Following that instruction still left Stage 2 blocked for the rest of the session. The same flag was also too loose. It never inspected the draft, so a hand-pasted inverted preview could pass once any later run delivered. The gate is now content-based. Stage 2 refuses when Stage 1 aborted and no interpretation has been supplied, and it refuses whenever the text in the Stage 1 box carries a direct answer line that inverts the verdict. Type a clean interpretation into that box and Stage 2 releases. Paste the inverted preview and it stays blocked. Second, the second opinion fallback path classified inversion by calling a helper that only exists when the shared offline object is present, but that fallback only runs when the shared object is absent. A genuine yes to no flip was therefore returned as an ordinary verdict mismatch, so the explicit inversion naming and the inversion log never fired on that path. The classifier is now local to that path, with the shared helper still preferred when it is available. The same release also closed two long-standing global visibility defects that were not inversion-related but were silent false negatives on operator surfaces. Priesthood auto-guidance had been resolving 0 verses on every draw because it read a binding that never appears on the global object. Trial history export had the same root cause and always reported empty. Both now resolve correctly. The inversion log is bounded at 200 entries, so a long hunting session cannot grow it without limit. Release 17.1 4.37 is polished on top of that repair. The scriptwriter module version is forced to the current host patch on every stage 2 run, not only on first object creation, so a pre-existing in-memory object cannot keep a stale tag. The ClaimCheck self-test now asserts the inversion classifier and the extract helper at load time with a pure behavior check that needs no draw. Lean yes against no is inversion. Lean yes against itself or against neutral is not. That locks the hard abort rule against silent regression. None of this changes the sealed statistical surfaces. The corpus payload, marker lexicon, CSPRNG draw gate, thresholds, and verdict spine are untouched. The change is limited to interpretation delivery and a few visibility repairs on surfaces that were already supposed to work. In practice, the operator experience is straightforward. Run the analysis. Run offline interpretation. If the model stays aligned, delivery proceeds as before, including the existing corrective pass for lesser issues. If the model inverts yes or lean yes into a negative direction after that pass, you see a clear abort. The draft stays in preview only, and nothing is handed downstream. If you then need a script, either obtain a clean Stage 1 delivery or write the interpretation into the Stage 1 box yourself under the ledger constraints. Stage 2 will read that text. Clean text releases it. Inverted text keeps it blocked. Soft defects still correct once and deliver. True directional inversion does not. That is the practical difference between asking a model not to invert and making inversion unable to complete the delivery path. Soft instruction remains in the prompts. The hard abort sits after generation. The downstream surfaces read the content they will transform, not only a sticky flag. The claim checks lock the classifier, so the next patch cannot quietly lose the rule. That is what gives the protocol teeth on the offline engines you actually control. If you are tracking builds, the host build is now 17.14.37. The changelog records the Stage 1 hard abort, the offline surface parity, the content-based Stage 2 repair, the local inversion classifier fix, the visibility repairs, the log bound, the forced module version, and the load time asserts. For verification, force a known affirmative verdict, run offline interpretation with a model that has previously inverted, confirm that a remaining inversion after the corrective pass aborts delivery, then confirm that a clean handwritten interpretation in the Stage 1 box releases Stage 2, while an inverted direct answer line does not. Protect the mathematical verdict. Allow one correction. Abort on true directional inversion. Do not let an inverted draft become a script or a published second opinion. Keep the sealed analysis surfaces exactly as they were. The interpretation layer is now harder to abuse without being harder to use for honest work.